I only wanna be with you. Hootie and the Blowfish sing that song I just sang, but I only know that one line. I only wanna be with you. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Thursday. We've made it this fucking far, unless you're one of the people that aren't with us anymore due to any reason. Really could be one of 1,000, even probably 1,000,000. I'm sure there's 1,000,000 ways to die. That should console you if you're scared about coronavirus. Don't worry, there's plenty of other ways to die. So just might as well relax anyway. You know, it's not going to be what you're afraid of. It's going to be something else you're not even thinking about. So if you don't want something to happen, don't think about it. You know, think about it. That's why when I go in the ocean, if I'm going surfing or spearfishing or anything, I always make a joke that, hey, if I get eaten by a shark, you can have my Xbox or insert any item here. And people are always like, don't say that. And I'm just like, well, by me saying it, it's not going to happen. And you know what? If it does happen, then I'll have predicted it and it will mean that much more my death. Because that's like a crazy thing in an article is like if they point that out, they interview someone, they got to say that he predicted this, you know? And then possibly I'll be like Nostradamus or like The Simpsons, how they kind of predict the future. Maybe they'll look at tons of other things. You know, people ask, what does Ja Rule think of this when things happen? They'll be like, what would Evan have said about this moment, about coronavirus? I was looking at something this morning. It is kind of crazy when you start looking at statistics of other things that are going wrong or things that have a high death count that we just completely skim over. I think it's because some of them are choices. That's the big thing is like we give people choices and they can live their life a certain way. By the way, my hair is fucking slicked. Slick back. That's what happens when my hair gets too long. I just saw it in the monitor. My hair is just slick back. I look like a young Dracula. Ready to suck some blood. No homo. But I was reading that there's so many different ways, that so many statistics, and like smoking being one of the biggest one. I can't even say that fucking word. Opiates. We'll go with opiates. Opioid. Listen, hashtag homeschooled. Okay. Grammar is not my thing. Spelling, punctuality. Listen, I was punctuation. I know somebody's going to DM me about that. Is punctuality means you're on time? Punctual. I'm educated in a different way. I got that like creative side of education. I don't have necessarily the bullshit. I don't have math. Fuck math, huh? Just need the basics. When trigonometry, no. Listen, you know what I think? As I've gotten older in my, aging like a fine wine at the young age of 32, I think I'm 32. Jesus, life is weird. They always say that they're providing a problem and you literally just have to solve it to help develop your problem solving skills. Of course, they're not making sense. Why not teach someone about financial stuff, things that you're really going to need, like, balancing a checkbook. I know we did that bullshit. And who the fuck, how old am I to say balancing a checkbook? I don't need to do it. I remember my dad would just say things like, these kids nowadays, they don't know how to balance a checkbook. I'm like, yeah, because I can just sign on and see what the fuck's going on with my account. I don't have to balance my checkbook, you goddamn dinosaur. But rather than having like just problem solving exercises, like couldn't we have made it a little bit smarter? And then maybe our society wouldn't be turning out the way it's turning out. Because you know what? If there's one thing that this pandemic has shown me is that people are dumber than I gave them credit for. Dumber than I gave them credit for. I know that's a weird way to say it, but you know what? It is what it is. Also living in front of a stop sign has made me also realize how much people just don't want to follow basic rules and just basic shit that like helps us all. And you can see that with the protest. You can see it with everything. And I get you might have your own conspiracies and whatever. I just don't give a shit. But I think that some people, you just realize the lowest level of people in society when things are going wrong, when you see the toilet paper shortage, you see all this stuff. And it blows me away when you start seeing some people that you think are very intelligent start having these stupid ideas and opinions on things. But, I have some stupid opinions. Listen, don't listen to me. Okay, when it comes to like what we should do, don't listen to me. I'm just over here spitting out bullshit, just ideas that probably will work and save the world. But anyway, just don't listen to me. That's my that's me giving my whatever the fuck you call it. Hey guys, how you doing today? Your boy's a little tired. I had to do a lot of work this morning. That's why we're getting to this a little bit later. I completely just abandoned that bit I was running with. Yeah, I'm calling them bits because I don't get to do stand-up right now. So I'm just here riffing, just seeing what the fuck happens. That was the biggest thing I was noticing after I started a podcast and doing stand-up. My riffing got better. Not saying that my riffing is great and improv on stage, but just being able to talk about certain situations, be able to make a cookie stretch. If something happens in the crowd, I can kind of come up with something quick and talk about it. So it's a bummer that I don't get to do stand-up right now and be able to work on that more. But I was getting to a point where I was like going up there with a set in mind, and then I'd work on the bits, but then I also wanted room for crowd work and working on things. So I'm hoping by, that's why I refuse to let this drop down during the pandemic. That's my thing with this podcast is I don't give a shit if everybody stopped listening or we got more listeners. I'm still going to do it because I enjoy it, and there's a group of people that do enjoy it. And you know what? I don't have to defend myself to you. I don't have to explain myself to you. You're the goddamn internet. The goddamn internet. That's all you are. But yeah, I miss doing stand-up. I miss riffing and all of that. And it's just weird times. And it's all about perspective because I will miss things. I miss going to jiu-jitsu. I miss just going out and doing stuff. But the truth is maintaining a perspective on how much worse other generations have had, and just even people within our current generation and what our culture is dealing with have it so much worse. I was talking to my old swim coach. I'm doing a design for their high schoolers to something for their CIF. They didn't get to swim the rest of their swim season, and they want to do something special for the seniors, so I'm helping out with that. And him and I were just talking, and he was talking about how, man, we are so much better off than a lot of people. And that's when I was talking to him on the phone, and he was just saying, man, it could be a lot worse. We're so much well off. And it's true. Like, even just you can think other parts of the world, but you can think also other parts of the country. Like, I started going back and forth with him, just talking about things, and it was like, man, to think about the kids who are in abusive households. And for me, as I get to play Xbox and love the person that I live with and get to just hang out, and I have to work, and there's also stress, but it could be so much worse. I could be hating my life and being stuck with someone I don't care about, and we fight all the time. I could have a dog that was a piece of shit, but my dog 99% of the time is a loving little creature. Will she not lay on the bed I just bought her? She won't. She doesn't like it, and you know what? She doesn't appreciate it. And you know what? I don't appreciate that she doesn't appreciate it. But in the big picture, it could be worse. I stay up to date on a lot of my friends who went to nursing school with the stuff that they're dealing with. Just thinking about the healthcare workers. And I just think about all the ignorance of people protesting, going out. And it's weird that there's people who when I wear a face mask sometimes people look at you like you're silly. Most people are wearing masks and everything, but there's a few people who look at you like you're silly, oh, you're one of these people. Oh my God, you sheeple. And it's almost like it becomes a badge of honor to not wear a mask. And I'm like, you guys are so dumb. This isn't a hill to die on, because whatever you think about the infection, you're still showing hey, I don't give a shit about you. And just think shit. That's the thing about these conspiracy theorists and some of them that take it way too far. And just like, you're just uneducated. You just don't know how things work. And like, I almost see a little bit of a reflection on people. Like, it's a reflection of the people who have those conspiracies, that you might be a conspiratorial person. Yeah. Where I won't trust you, because it's the same thing when you get in a relationship with someone who's a cheater. Listen, I cannot confirm I've been cheated on. There's some evidence where I'm like, okay, A equals B, B equals C, C equals D, by all these steps. And why wouldn't you have cheated based on what the findings were in the court of law? There's no court of law, but you know what I'm saying. But I'm pretty sure that I was cheated on at one point in my life. And in that particular relationship, the person I was dating when we first started dating made these rules of like, and keep in mind, Evan was a young, spry little, I think I was like 20 years old or something like that. But this person that I was with kept wanting to make rules and kept wanting to be like, hey, I don't think we should talk to anybody we've ever hooked up with, anybody we've ever dated, and anybody that liked us, or blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, because I don't really, okay, yeah, fine, whatever. And I remember agreeing to it, and it was weird, and I was like, well, that's just a weird thing to say. I thought, I don't really talk to exes and stuff like that, but I went on with it. And then I remember one night, I'm just totally spilling the shit right now. I remember watching a movie, and when someone gets a text or something and they try to hide it from you, like they angle it away and say, like, they look at it and they go, oh, and then they turn their phone away from you. I'm like, well, that was a weird move. And I remember going through it, and we ended up arguing, and then revealed she was talking to like 4 guys. A few of them she had like already hooked up with and all this stuff, and was like hanging out with them and shit. And I was like, you were the one that made this dumbass rule. And obviously for a reason, because you see yourself in other people, like people who have trust issues. The long reason I'm saying that is because like people who have trust issues, a lot of times either they've been hurt or they see themselves doing those things. They see it as a possibility. So they see that in the other person. When you think everybody's going to be a dick, it's like, oh man, fuck that guy, blah, blah, blah. Man, he's a piece of shit. Or just like, it's because you see that in them. And a lot of times when people are mean to other people, it's like they want to make fun of them or do something before they can do it to them, because they're like worried about that, So I think a lot of times when people have these conspiracy theories and stuff like that, it's because they see that as a possibility in themselves in a weird way. And that's the way I'm turning this on conspiracy theorists. So fuck you. And that's the thing, is like, I won't say it's all conspiracy theorists, because anything can be a conspiracy. Is there proof that the government has done some shady ass shit? Yes. Is there proof that businesses do shady shit and there's different things? If there's data, hey, I believe it. If there's really data. But if you're stretching it to these like satanic things that have no proof, and like you're using, well, this happened and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, was there proof like that? No. But I heard from a friend who had a friend who knew someone who used to be a janitor at this place that overheard someone talking about it. That's how a lot of conspiracies are that are crazy. But with that note, I would like to unveil my own coronavirus conspiracy theory. I have one. With Bill Gates. You guys ready for this shit? Okay, here is my coronavirus conspiracy with Bill Gates. It's not 5G. I think, okay, this is sexy. This is a juicy conspiracy theory. Bill Gates created Microsoft, right? Microsoft created Xbox, right? By creating this pandemic, Bill Gates not only quadrupled the sales of Xboxes, but they just released Call of Duty, the latest one before this, with so many updates to allow people to play it, buying the game. It's like the highest selling game of all time. Everybody is playing it. There's all these memes, which I'm sure Bill Gates is making himself, pushing the product of the goulash, or the gulag. I'm sorry. Goulash is like some German spaghetti. Moving on. I think Bill Gates created the pandemic to get people to buy Xbox, to play Call of Duty on it. So all of us at home playing Xbox during the pandemic get very good at war. And then what's going to happen is we're going to have the vaccine, and he's going to inject a mind-controlling entity into our bodies that take over, and then we do his bidding because he's in control of us. Now we're all trained soldiers. Listen, I'm like a colonel in that shit. I got third on Battle Royale the other day by myself. Battle Royale trios. I'm phenomenal at Battle Royale by myself. Anyway, listen. Then we're going to take over the world. That's how he does it. He enslaves all men from the age of 14 to 38, prime going to war ages across the board, I think. And we're just going to do his bidding, and we're just going to rock it in the free world. I mean, I'm sure first thing is we'll take out Apple and just go from there. The only problem is that when you develop this sedentary lifestyle playing Xbox, your body starts to decay. So we're going to have to account for that. There's going to be some struggle with the Cheeto fingers and, eating Doritos, but we're going to be so hopped up on Mountain Dew and Monster Energy drink, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. So ridiculous. I did see, however, that, where was I going to go with this? I was going to, I was going to go somewhere else with this. Are we losing it? Are we losing that bit? Are we done with this? Yeah, I think we're done with it. No. Oh, I got it. Bars, we're back. Gun sales are up like over 300%. Do you know what that means? That means that so many of these people that always were against, guns and all this gun control and blah, 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 they went out and bought guns. I have friends who are pretty liberal that were like, I need to get a gun. And one of them I know listens to this podcast, so shout out to you. You know who you are. But I think it's interesting because crime is down and everything, and I'm sure that's just, a side effect of a pandemic and everybody being inside. I'm sure there's still a lot of crime and different kinds of crime. But it's just fascinating that when shit actually hits the fan, ideologies go away. And everybody's like, oh yeah, the government isn't going to protect me. Because if shit goes down, like that's the thing I think people don't think about, is they have way too much faith in the police system, the firefighters, and just the government in general. And I mean too much faith in the sense of reaction time. Like they think that if you just call 911 and someone's in your house, they're going to be there in 30 seconds to get the bad guy. No, it's going to take a little bit of time and you're going to have to defend yourself. And at what cost? What's going to happen? So I think people were like, oh, I have to be independent and take care of myself. Now I need a gun. So all you new gun owners, welcome to the crew. Welcome to the team, okay? Hopefully you got an Xbox and we will be on the same alliance when Bill Gates takes over. Moving on. I thought this was hilarious. The Pentagon released footage of possible UFOs. How crazy is that the Pentagon released UFO footage and it didn't even really make news? It was barely trending on Google. How crazy is that there's so much going on in 2020 that everybody was like, yeah, okay, aliens are here, but what about this? Like, I don't know. I think it's crazy that there's aliens or that there is UFO footage. And at least what's the reason why they released it now? Do you think they're just so overwhelmed and are just like, when you're trying to distract a little kid, when a little kid like hits their knee and they fall and you quickly try to distract them so they don't start crying and you're just like, hey, look, oh, when you make weird sounds and then they're like welling up and you're like, no, look, UFOs. I feel like that's what the government did with it. They were like, fuck it. Let's give them the UFO footage. That'll give us a couple days. Oh, they're realizing that we're giving all the money to big corporations. Give them the UFOs. I think what would be good is give us an alien. Give us a little green guy, okay? One of them looked like a TIE fighter. I was looking at the UFO footage and I was like, how sick would this shit be if Star Wars was real? If there was real Jedis? Did anybody else as a kid, when you were growing up, you would try to move shit after watching Star Wars? You would be like, no, I just have to learn how to do it and use the Force. I would try to do that shit. I'd be concentrating. I'd be like, come on, just fucking move. And then I would even try to do it after the Matrix. Remember when they're like bending the spoon? I'd just be staring at that spoon and trying to use my mind. One day they're going to be able to do it. One day that it will be a reality in our world. I did this a video job for this school called Code Ninjas, which is all like STEM stuff and like technology and making apps and coding and everything like that. And one of the things that they did was they would put this headset on an adult and on a little kid, and they would basically take it and they would be able to change objects. These objects would fall apart and break just using their brain. It was some crazy ass shit. I wasn't planning on talking about this, so I didn't research all the names and everything. But you could probably Google it. But they would put this headset on the adult, and basically it would hook up to like their brain and like everything like that. And by you telling the shape to move, like this ball that you created to move and to like do things, it would do it. And then they put it on a kid, and the kid was able to do the same thing. But then they told the adult to change it into a 4-dimensional thing. They're like, make it 4-dimensional. And the adult was like, what? But the little kids were all able to go so much further in possibility of what the item could be rather than the adult. And it was because we already, as older people, have like pathways already set in play for what we think reality is. Mind blowing. But basically, because these kids had not yet been like cemented pathways on what reality was and what is realistic, they were able to do so much more than adults. And that like makes me think about shit. Like, have you ever like been listening to music? I love doing this, where you start breaking down the sounds of what you hear, like different, whether it's a hi-hat pattern or something like within the beat. If you're hearing like that little that's the hi-hat. And you start breaking down every sound. And then a lot of times when I'm listening to music like that, I'll start like some little like progressions. I'll pick it out of the mix, and I love it. And I'll be driving with someone. I'll be like, dude, do you hear this? And they'll be like, hear what? And I'll be like, explain what I'm hearing. And then they would be like, oh shit, I didn't even hear that. And then they would just hear it. It's like the same thing in the forest. Like, I don't know the forest, but like you'll hear a sound like a bird off in the distance. And you'll be like, did you hear that? And you'll be like, hear what? You'll be like, that bird. And then they would be like, oh shit, there it is. So it's like, you don't realize certain things that are there until you've acknowledged it. And then you can't even stop hearing it. It's like the same thing with like, when I edit a video or something like that, and I'll be like, dude, anything wrong with it, I'll be able to pick it out and be like, do you see the grain on the footage? And they're like, well, I didn't see it before, but now that I'm looking for it, I can see it. All that being said to say, I feel like there's something that happens with us as people where we're not completely tapped into all our senses. Yeah, we're getting deep. Your boy ain't even high right now. I feel like there's a lot of that. We're like, same thing when you're about to buy a certain car. Let's say you're going to get a Corolla. You'll just start seeing those Corollas everywhere. If all you have is a hammer, everything's a nail. Bars. Hashtag corny quotes. But I feel like that's reality. I feel like that's a big thing. Whereas like, if you're not, there's so much going on and so much ability with people that we're so distracted in our society that we never even like latch on to certain things that we never even realized were there because we never slow down or really pay attention to them. I feel like there's a lot of stuff like that with energy and like UV lights and stuff going on around us. That sounds so woo-ha bullshit. And I don't mean energy. That's the one thing that's weird is like, have you ever had like a meditation? I don't even really meditate that often, but like there's people who like, they practice it so hard that they literally get energy from shit. and they can go in, and a lot of people say like they pull energy from nature and everything and being out in nature, but like I don't know enough about that. Like what is his name, Wim Hoffman, is that his name? Wim Hof. He's the breathing guy. He can literally, through breathing, he does these crazy breath exercises where he'll just like for literally like 30 minutes and just do these crazy things, and he can bring his body temperature up just through breathing. And he runs these like clinics, and they'll take people on these retreats where they're literally like laying in the snow for hours and going on these crazy runs and just Speedos and shit. And they actually, through breathing, what they did this study, because they were like, well, he defies what we think reality is. So they ran tests on him, and they were like, okay, we're going to inject you with a virus. It wasn't coronavirus, but they injected him with it. And he was able, through breathing, to actually raise his white blood cell count almost instantly and attack the virus. Like they had him hooked up in the lab doing all of this, and he was able to actually do it through breathing. He was able to boost his immune system. And it's stuff like that. Like a lot of times, I just finished David Goggins' book today again. It's one of my favorite books. A lot of times we put our own limits on things. And I think a lot of that even has to do with our bodies and our abilities and what we think we can do. And it's like we have a governor on our system based on either what other people believe we can do or what we believe or what we can do. And I think that's actually influence. A lot of times when people think you can't do something, it's only true if you believe them. And I find that fascinating. Like when people's adrenaline kicks in, like when you hear about fucking moms fighting off fucking mountain lions and shit when they're attacking their kids. Fucking crazy. And that being said, it brings me around to like, what if aliens were real? What does that even look like? And it sounds so silly, but it could be even something like, that's why I think it would be weird if there was no life on other planets, and just how vast and big the cosmos really are. There's nothing else there. And what does life actually look like? It will, like, we always assume, because we're such dummies as a species, that they're little green men, that they're even shaped like us. It could just be fucking weird gas, you know? It might be even just like bacteria, and it's just living. That's all it would take for it to be an alien. But if aliens were real in the sense of like, I don't know, like little green men or something like that, man, I feel like they would be able to take us out so fast. That's what's going to be crazy, because if we survive as a species, and yeah, we're going to survive coronavirus, but if we survive as a species enough to get off of Earth, and we become like Terran, which is like, we become a human force that just like inhabits other planets and everything, and we just become a human race that's just everywhere, different places. I think if we do that, we're going to be good. Like, we're going to survive and go on to the next, I don't know. I think we'll be infinite. I don't see us stopping. But then it's like, ooh, what if this has been done before? What if aliens are us from the future? We're getting crazy right now. What if aliens are us from the future? And what happened was, we did leave the planet, and we went off, we did all this shit, well, blah, blah, blah. And we did do what I say, what we're going to do. And we inhabit other planets, other solar systems. Things are going good for a couple thousand years. And then what happens as other places are evolving and everything, just like asteroids hitting, like with the dinosaurs, an asteroid hit Earth, and Earth had to start over. Maybe we're not the original planet. We could have been one of those like newer planets that we just dropped some people off and we're like, here, do this. And then it got wiped out. And then it had to all start the process over again. And then by the time that we're at a point now, the aliens are already so fucking far ahead of us that they don't even seem like the same species. And we just aren't there yet. And who knows? They could be studying us. They'd be like, well, let's see how they handle this. But because it's like the same thing as like studying wild gorillas and shit, you know? Man, this used to be an entertainment podcast. Now we're just, I like how I say I'm not into conspiracy theories, and then I just start going down this rabbit hole. But I actually think this is fun. I think this could actually, that'd be so great if we just found that out and they were like, they intervened. They were like, all right, listen, stop, collaborate and listen. Here's a vaccine that isn't going to turn you guys all into Call of Duty soldiers. Take this, and here's what you guys need to do because you guys are fucking around. Why do you still have this weird presidential system? You made that shit when we wrote with feathers and shit, okay? There were still slaves owned when you guys writ this constitution. Write some new stuff, start over. Yeah, wild shit. But I would like it if aliens were real. I'd be all for it. I would go live with them. The only catch is, though, if you want to go live with the aliens because they're like so evolved to where they realize that like all the alpha, beta, all that kind of shit, all our testosterone stuff is like that's the thing is where they're going to be like, you don't need a dick anymore. Okay. It's getting in the way of your problem solving skills and you're starting to justify some weird habits. You're going to a facility where you just lift weights to impress the opposite sex and even to impress other men and like just to boost your ego to be a leader of those men. It's like a weird thing and we just don't want you to have your dick anymore. Would you still do it? Would you be like, okay, give me the operation? Man, I think I would. Honestly, I think I would. Because, like, I want to go on space exploration, live out my dream. I'd be like, okay, listen, you can cut my dick off, but I get to keep it in a jar. Okay? I get to show motherfuckers it. If I go to a new planet and they try to offer me like a peace treaty or show me something from their culture, I'll be like, well, I wasn't always one of these green little men. Take a look at this. And I'd shake it in the jar. And I'd have like little glitter in there and everything. So they would be like, whoa, it would be like a little snow globe. Man, the wheels have come off this thing. Yeah, I'd be all for that. I'd be all for being an alien. Why not? Why not at this point? Anything's possible. This is all weird times. This is the kind of ideas you have when there's no news and there's no things changing in your life that you start having these conversations. This is what the podcast has become. You know what I need to watch? Shit. It's on Netflix. Duncan Trussell's animated show. It's supposed to be mind-blowing. I'm going to watch that and then I'll report back with it. Yeah, this is kind of a crazy time. I think next week I'm going to have some guests. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but, we're just going to keep rocking it in the free world. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope it brought you some kind of distraction. And maybe if you had some thoughts on aliens, bring them to your boy. I love when I bring up a topic on the podcast and then I have people reach out to me to talk more about it. As long as you're not just messaging me to correct my grammar, then I'm good with it, baby. I got another movie recommendation. You're stuck in quarantine, need some movies. If you haven't seen the cult classic Tombstone. Tombstone is one of the movies I've probably seen over 100 times. It never is bad. There's never a moment where that movie just isn't good. It is a classic. I love movies like that, Westerns. That's the thing is Westerns like that are driven by drama are so much better than regular movies because they hold up. Some of the Westerns don't really hold up as much because it's too based on the action. And they're just like, bang, bang, meet me at the center, man. And you're like, yeah, well, we have action movies now. But it's like the drama of that time, the cowboys, the whole Wyatt Earp thing, Doc Holliday. Listen, Val Kilmer. That is Val Kilmer's best movie role by far. I go to say that no one has played a movie role better than Val Kilmer in Tombstone. Okay? I don't think anybody has. And you could have some arguments with, let's say, there's been a few good actors in movies. I thought, what was his name? Daniel Day-Lewis in Gangs of New York. Phenomenal. I think even Leonardo DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street, Leonardo DiCaprio has had a few movies where he plays a movie role to the T. Brad Pitt in Fight Club, Russell Crowe in Gladiator. There's a few standouts, but I don't necessarily think they played it better than Doc Holliday. Oh, the subtlety. Say when. We should have a spelling bee. Listen, do yourself a favor if you haven't seen that movie. Go watch it. DM me after to thank me for how amazing it was. And even if you have seen it, fuck it. Watch it again. Try to get that number up to 100. Your life will be better. And remember, no matter what, if everything goes to hell, I still love you.